Hey, what's up, guys? Christian Brindle here, and I am back with another video. Today, I have a very, very special guest here with me today that we're going to be learning from. His name is Josh Youngs, and he's an absolute, I mean, no pun intended, he's an absolute Medicare machine, this dude. Josh, how you doing today?
I'm wonderful, living the dream, just like you, day by day. I'm excited my birthday week, so I never have a bad week my birthday week.
Oh, there you go. Happy early birthday.
Thank you.
How old are you going to be?
41.
Wow. Well, you don't look it. You don't look it for what that's worth.
Good.
Right in all that business will do that for you.
It does help. It does help.
So, Josh, if anybody is not familiar with you, or maybe just hasn't kind of come across, your social media accounts, your YouTube channel, anything like that, which I want to talk about the YouTube channel in a second here. Give the audience here just a kind of brief intro about Josh Youngs. Who is Josh Youngs?
Well, Joshua Youngs is now I've worked my way up from the bottom. A long time ago, 20 years ago, I was somebody who tried to bury myself through self-sabotage and poor decision making and other stuff. So
Yeah.
just understand wherever you are in the process, it's an evolution for who you are. I'm not some magician. I'm not some magic person. There's nothing unique about me other than my work ethic. I came into the business backwards. So I worked at an FMO in every position, in essence, like every position of the restaurant before I became the manager. And then I founded my own after that process. So I have a different perspective on things. And so for me, who am I now? I'm an agent who is focused on helping Medicare beneficiaries. So it's really hard. Earlier this year, I tried to pull myself off the field and do focus more on the coaching of the team. I learned very quickly. One, I didn't like that, and two, it's very, very, very bad decision to take your best player off the team. So don't
Right.
do that to yourself. But yeah, no, I'm transitioning. What I really learned I love is coaching and sharing information. So I've started this process of creating the Medicare Machine Factory, and which will really launch for January. But I did a couple of test events this fall for AEP boot camps. But yeah, my goal now is to help as many beneficiaries as I can and help as many agents as I can do what I did because it's a life-changing process.
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't mind me asking, so how long have you been in the Medicare game? Because I don't think it's extremely long, right?
Well, I've been in the industry since January of '05.
Okay. Okay. So I was wrong about that.
I was on the FMO side first. For the first 14 and a half years, I was secretary at the beginning, and then I was status person, then I was life insurance guy, then I was health insurance guy, and then eventually for the last 12 years or so, I was the Medicare. They changed the title a few times. I was Medicare sales director for a little while, then I was Medicare agent manager, then I was
Mm,
just the Medicare guy. But in essence, my job was recruiting, training, mentoring, teaching agents how to go from we really specialize in green, funneling them through our captive LOA shop and
yeah.
creating what we call the broker builder program. And so it was designed to get someone through the first few years where they need the most help and most assistance and transition into broker. And then we also supported a pretty large broker team nationwide.
Gotcha. Okay. Um, One thing I think about when I think about you, right, is I think the thing that I've always loved about you so much is you really kind of document your process, right? Between you like your enrollments and everything like that. And you put up tremendous numbers, like huge numbers. The numbers that you're putting up are like equivalent to a small team. Just you, right?
Yep.
Um, what do you think agent gets in the way of agents from realizing that they can be putting up big numbers like that? Because I think so many people, they just defeat themselves before they even get started. They're like, I can never do what Josh Young's doing. I can never do what Josh is doing. What would you say to somebody about that kind of like mentality? Because you're a one man wrecking crew, but like you said, it's more than anything the work ethic, and I found that to be true with a majority of successful people.
Yeah, 100%. I think of this industry, it reminds me a lot of like the Wizard of Oz, where it used to be where there's this big curtain and there was somebody back there and you saw the result of the stuff, but nobody really told you what the ingredients were, what the recipe was, or anything else. And a lot of it was just figure it out yourself. And it was a very cutthroat thing. Nowadays, there's a million channels out there. Not all of them
Yeah.
are people that you should be listening to, but there's tons that are. And it's not hard to tell who you should listen to. You can tell pretty easily when they start giving the right advice. And so, but someone that's going, how the hell can I be anything close to that? How the heck can I do that? Well, you got to have a system. You got to have a proven system that you can follow. And the idea is you learn the system first, and then you make modifications to make it your own. And that's really where you transition. And that's really where I started to get traction, because when I ran the other agency, I was running somebody else's system, but it was I created the system, but it was with his oversight, his modifications, his editing, where, like, as an example, I thought the boot camp to launch somebody into the business should be 5 days. And he let me have 2, and then I begged and I got for 3. But 3 days to go from know nothing about Medicare and then I fire hose information into your head for 3 days, I don't think that's possible.
Yeah.
And so this is not an overnight thing. You got to treat your first year or two almost like college for this business, where you're going to go through some growing pains. You're going to go through bad grades. You're not going to know how things work unless you do the research up front on who you're going to partner with. And what I mean by partner with, you should have a direct upline in mind. And for me, I like to have a couple of layers between me and the top of the end of the hierarchy. And the main reason is you get the more support, the farther down the tree you go. And usually the people farther down the tree have more time and will to give you one-on-one mentoring. And so while it's really attractive to jump straight up to the top with a big FMO higher on the ladder, and there are some advantages on the back end for that, in the beginning, I would really focus on finding a really good mentor who's above where you are. And just understand, in this business, you may end up going through 3 or 4 different phases where you maybe even change contracts a few times to find the next level of person to keep you progressing. But persistency, consistency are the 2 things that I think are my magic ability, if there is one. My ability to do it over and over and over again with whether it's working or not. I have a belief in my mind that it's working. And so in my mind, I'm visualizing it working. And then over time, I'm getting feedback on what's not working, and I make adjustments until I get closer and closer to the target. It's almost like where you're shooting a catapult. You gotta get your calibration in to find distance and range and all that kind of stuff. I think the biggest mistake a new agent makes is they try to go too far too fast, and they don't give themselves the opportunity to have a year where they learn. Now, in a perfect world, if you're going to ask me, right now, between June and August is the best time if you're going to start your first year, because you basically get to skip half of the first year bullshit. Excuse the language, but it is to me. The first year is the worst. The first year stinks the most because you're chasing your tail. You have no residual income. You can't pay your bills. You can't eat. If you have a spouse and family, there's pressure of taking care of them falling on you. Like I said, for me, find a system that's proven, have somebody who's proven the system works and they run it, and then listen exactly what they say, do exactly what they do, like copy them as close as you can to be a carbon copy, and then over time adapt that to your personality and your strengths.
I love that. And I think there's such wisdom in that. I totally agree, by the way, with that timeline of somebody getting started their first year. Like I started in roughly around the June time period. And I think it was a great thing for me because there's nothing that's going to teach you faster than AEP. Right. AEP is the best time period to really, really learn. And yeah, I think it makes a tremendous amount of sense not to really, if you're brand new and you're just getting in, or maybe you're just getting started, to go direct to these monster FMOs. Because one thing that agents, I think, don't understand about some of these groups is a lot of them have tens of thousands of agents, if not like 50, 60, 70, 80,000 agents that they work with and they contract with. You are a spec. Even if you're a good producer, you're a spec. And it's really easy for you to fall through the cracks. Whereas if you work with someone that has 300 agents, right, direct to them, or 500 agents or something like that, it's a lot easier to give you attention. And a lot of times I think that's what people need. So I think that that's such great advice. I wanted to ask you about the branding of Medicare Peace of Mind, because I think you've done such a great job with it. Every time I've ever seen you in person at an event or anything like that, right, you're decked out in gear. You're decked out in gear right now, and it just seems to be everywhere with your life, and it's just a commitment to the brand, which I absolutely love. I think that's just I think if you really want to brand a business, you got to be committed to the brand. Talk about that for a second. Where did that idea to really brand the business in that way with that level of commitment come from? And what's the future goal with it?
Yeah, I mean, it ties kind of back in that last question you asked about the FMO and the support you get when you're when an agency, whether you're like a call center volume, they want to pay more attention to that. So I knew going into it as a new agent that I had to prove myself. In my mind, I wanted to look the part. I didn't want someone to question my credibility. I didn't want someone to question anything. So from the very beginning, I became branded for a couple of reasons. Number one, all the top companies in the world do it. And they do it religiously. They do it perpetuously. They do it without fail. So literally, my car is branded, my house is branded, my kids are branded. They love wearing their logo shirts. My wife is branded. Anything that I can brand that makes sense, I brand. And I don't, because you have choices. You can wear Gucci, which is Gucci's brand, or you can wear your brand, which makes you money. You want to make Gucci money, you want to make you money. So branding for me, number one, it's free advertising over time. I get probably 10 walk-ins a month into my office, and inevitably probably 7 or 8 of them say, "Oh, I drove by and saw you were here," or "Oh, I saw you're here," or "I saw your car." My car, people know my car. And my clients even will say, "Oh, I saw you driving." Yeah, and they all know I drive really fast and they expect that. So, but yeah, the branding part of it for me, I try, in essence, to me, the epitome when I think of branding, I think of Coca-Cola. And you can literally go to any country in the world and any part of that world, with a few exceptions, and they know what that is. You just show them the logo and they know what it is. They know what it means. And that to me was what I want. When someone thinks, because for me, every client that I in the world right now, every single one of them, even Christian's clients, they're all my clients. It's just a matter of when. Something's going to change. Christian will retire. Christian will die. Something will happen. The plans will change. And so for me, I'm in position at all times. So when the point of pain happens, when Christian retires, when their client moves, when something happens, I want to be the first thing they think of. And I want them to think Medicare Peace of Mind. I want them to think that concept. And so conceptually, when you're doing branding, I got lucky because the name Medicare Peace of Mind came from a sheet of paper we created while working turning 65 leads. And we ran into this problem where we'd get the lead card back, we'd get them on the phone, and then we'd send them information. They never talked to us again. And so we had this barrier gap, and this piece of paper I created called the 4 Steps to Medicare Peace of Mind was the difference that turned those calls from not productive to we were closing 70% of them now. And so the concept, I just ran with it. And I just, for me, that's what I want to deliver. So when you're creating a brand, a lot of people either use a name. I like the name thing. Here's the problem with the name thing, in my opinion. If you ever want to exit or if you ever want to sell your business, it's exponentially more valuable if your name's not attached to it, because then you're less required to be part of it. And so for me, I wanted the name itself to be an asset, because I remember when the agency owner I worked for, when he sold his agency, like 50 grand of the purchase price came into the branding value. And so for me, I'm like, hey, if over time I'm gonna be doing this anyway, I might as well build a big brand that, one, can scale nationally if I want it to. 2, if I ever want to exit, I can sell it and it has more value and I'm not required to be part of it anymore. Branding is a commitment. Because I do it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Yesterday, if you look at the picture of me with my son at the restaurant, I'm wearing there's never an opportunity, a few exceptions, that I'm not wearing the branding. So it takes a commitment to it. But I think it's there's no way to measure the impact that it has. Because in essence, most of you that are watching this, if you have any idea who I am, it has to do with my branding. It has nothing to do with anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. And to kind of piggyback on what you said about the name part of it, it's extremely difficult to change your name once you have it, especially like when you're licensed in different states, you have corporation license in different states. A lot of states make you register your corporation with that state. That's something that I found out. So if I could go back and do it again, I probably would have named my company something different. But we're so branded now in our market, but the branding is me. So that is, I think that's really, really, really good advice. And I think that's very true, because if I could go back and do it again, knowing what I know today, we might have not named the company what we did. We might have not named it after me. Might have not been so Christian centric. Because if we ever want to go and sell, if they don't get me to stay on at least for a certain amount of time, might not want to buy the business. I think that's really smart. let's talk about leads real quickly. I want to be respectful of your time, but there's a couple more questions I wanted
Yeah.
to just get in with you for the audience. When it comes to leads, right? Are you guys working leads, or is it almost completely inbound traffic from people that come in from the branding or anything like that? Or if you are working leads, what kind of leads do you like?
For me, I hate leads, so I don't work leads unless somebody like begs me to. I work. I call it 91 octane referrals. What I run on. So like 8 to 10% of my business comes from leads or other stuff. But the where I really excelled in is generating leads, not or referrals, not only from my clients, but also from referral partners. And so,
Mhm.
creating relationships in the community, creating relationships with your clients leads to more referrals. And then if you do the referrals correctly, it's a lot like the network marketing game where it only takes one or two good influencers to end up in your tree where all of a sudden you've got 50 people to help off of one person instead
Mhm.
of, having two or three coming off of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense, and I think that's so true. I think, like, for us, we probably have 30 to 40% of our new business is leads, but it used to be like 80%.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
no, my
we
team is more like that for sure.
yeah.
And so I didn't answer the second question, which I forgot, but now I remembered. You asked me which one do I like, or which one am I using? The team, I really believe T65 is really the only lead worth generating at this point
Yeah.
because the low income market's so saturated. The last 4 or 5 low income drops I did, I got like literally the last one I did, and I haven't done one since. I dropped 3,000 pieces for somebody, and we got one lead back. Made it a very,
Oof.
very, very expensive lead that we didn't close. And so I think the market's too saturated on that side. People have figured out that the D-SNP market and that low income market's a really easy honey hole to go after because a
Yeah.
lot of those folks have learned almost because of the attention they get. I have some clients that will just switch plans for the sake of switching plans.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful with some of that. So I like T65 leads and I like seminars in conjunction with that. So for our activity, it's a combination of grassroots network marketing through the community. And then on the lead side, T65 drops, getting duplicate copies of the list, and then remarketing to that T65 list because each direct mail campaign you do, if it's effective, will get you 1 to 2% return. And so if you can formulate 3 or 4 different techniques off of one list, like I usually get between 6 to 10% of each list that I work because of 3 or 4 different initiatives that we're doing to pull different types of personalities. You have to
Mhm.
understand if you get a lead, if T65 is an example, a lot of people will mail out 6 months ahead of their birthday or whatever. And at 6 months out, you're attracting a different personality, what I call a planner, is going to respond to that more so than the procrastinator. And unfortunately for
Mhm.
us, the procrastinator is a much larger population. So the reason that you're only getting a 2% return is because there's only a very small percent of people that are actually like enjoying planning and this out. Everybody else is like, I'm just going to put it off and I'll do
Right.
it last minute. And so you got to have a different initiative to catch those people because you can catch those people. There's plenty of people that I run into that are in the last 2 weeks of their window and haven't done anything yet. It's been sitting there,
Yeah.
even though there's people calling every day, even though there's postcards coming in. One of our agents on our team, her husband is over 65, and they literally get one mailer every single day from somebody. So again, leads I don't like. For me, leads take longer to work. They're
Mhm.
they're, they're less productive. I can spend a day working leads and write as many business doing that for a week. I could spend 1 week doing referrals and I could do the business for a month
Yeah.
on the leads side. So leads are part of it. If you're new, your octane's not going to be 91 referral. It's going to be like 25% referral and 75% lead. And you're
Mhm.
going to have to learn how to be a good closer. So I still work leads, even though I hate them, because I know because of experience that your referral partner could end at any moment. And you
Mhm.
could be in a position where now you have to work leads to get revenue back up. But it also depends on what kind of agent you are. A lot of agents get to a certain level and they coast at that level and maintain.
Yep.
I haven't hit where I want to plateau at yet. So yeah, leads are a part of it. If you're going to do leads, I would do multiple channels. I came from an old school agent that brought me into the business, so I'm really direct mail heavy. I'm
Mhm.
making a hard push in the paint to digital stuff, which is my big weakness because I don't do that. But again, I'm in those kind of situations. You want to pay someone else to do what you don't know how to do if you can't do it. If you can't afford that, then you got to go right back to grassroots, and grassroots becomes the foundation. That's why they call it roots. You got to build roots in the ground before you can grow the tree up. So yeah, leads are awesome, and they also suck. It depends on who you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, definitely. Totally agree. I love that. let's talk about your YouTube channel for a second. What made you want to create the channel? And let's talk about your YouTube channel for a second. With your YouTube channel, what made you want to create it, and what kind of content do you usually share on it, and where can people find it?
Well, it's called the Medicare Machine Factory, and I created it mostly because what I learned both running the old agency and my agency is I no longer want to work with greens directly. Like what I mean by that is people that are brand new.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the patience anymore. Like it's not productive use of my time when I look at what I could be doing with my time. And so I have a downline. I have other people in my hierarchy that are designed to work as the developmental league to help people get into the business. And then I work with the elite of the elite is kind of what I try to do at this point. And so that's what I learned was, number one, I want a smaller team than the average upline does. Like if I can get away with it at the end of this thing, like 10 years from now, I envision having 50 people on my, what I would call my elite squad, all averaging 500 apps a year or more. Let's call it the 500 Club. And so for me, that's going to take a process to get to. And so I don't want to ignore all the other agents out there. And so the Medicare Machine Factory is where I can put things together in a manner where I can charge a reasonable price for my time. And then the people that participate pay, so they pay attention, they actually participate, they actually give me feedback. Because I've done a bunch of free stuff for the last year, going around the country, handing out free trainings, free this, free that. Nobody shows up, and people that do don't really pay attention, they don't really take notes. They're tuning out, they turn their camera off on the Zoom. And so the Medicare Machine Factory is designed, I do agent tips of the day, we do the weekly podcast, and then down the road, we're going to be launching boot camps, we're launching coaching, we're going to be launching all kinds of different stuff so that other people that aren't my downline, and maybe they don't want to move, maybe I don't want them to be under my downline either, but I still want to help them. And so I wanted to create an avenue to get to that. And that's where the Medicare Machine Factory, honestly, I came out at 8%, and I thought, well, I had to pivot. So 8%, I was planning on being able to do some type of presentation from stage where people could enroll for the boot camp on stage, but they changed it to where there was no pitching from stage, which I like. But if when you're the one on stage, you're planning on pitching, that creates an area where you have to create the gap, right? So I pivoted. I created now a landing page and some other stuff, some funnels and some other things where now I could collect data at 8%. And I knew I was going to have from August 1st, and I wanted to do the boot camp on August 19th. So in essence, I was announcing the boot camp on August 1st, knowing that I only had less than 3 weeks to actually get people to show up. And so that's where I was like, I just need to commit to doing this agent tip of the day thing. And in the beginning, it was just going to be every day between August 1st and 19th when that boot camp launched. And then I started doing it and doing it more and doing it more. Number one, I'm enjoying it. Number two, I'm feeling like this is giving the audience a better chance to get to know me. And I'm actually able to give you little 5-10 minute clips where maybe you can't listen to my 4-hour training. Maybe you can listen to a 5-minute clip instead. And so it's an evolution of things. I'm hoping that it will give value to the agent community and help them avoid some of the stuff that I've either learned the hard way or I've helped other people learn the hard way. And so that's what it's all about.
I love it. I think you hit it on the head earlier too. There's a lot of people on YouTube. There's a lot of people, good people worth listening to, but not everybody is. Your channel, is one of the ones that people need to be listening to. So guys, if you haven't subscribed to Josh's channel, I'm going to throw a link to it in the description of this video. So go check it out. Josh knows what he's doing. His results speak for themselves. Josh, I really appreciate you taking the time today and kind of coming on the channel and kind of sharing some great value with the audience. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. I look forward to getting your book this week when I get back.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Yeah, we'll definitely do more of these because this was a blast. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. It helps more agents just like you find this information that need to hear these kind of videos. Comment your thoughts down below, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.